Right. We are currently live. I should think so. Just a second. Yes, we are live. Okay. First of all, it's been quite some time since this, live on the English channel has come, and I am really glad that I have the opportunity to welcome you, Yogitha. First of all, to
Thank you.
this live session. How was your day been so far?
It's been excellent. I had a wonderful day today.
And
And
that's
looking,
great. That's good to know. Yeah, well, hopefully you do have a much better, evening and the rest of the year as well. But I do want to, start off this by saying this is actually the first live, I think, at the English channel that's been going after, I would say, after 2 years on the finance channel. This is the first live on the farming channel. This is the first live on the business channel. So it is, an interesting start for this, live sessions that we've begun again at Freedom. So before I ask you anything about tailoring and we get into the business aspect of what and how you've achieved your success so far, I want to know who is who is Yogita? What, like, where did she come from? Who is Yogita? How would you describe yourself?
okay. I just come from a very simple nuclear family where I have a beautiful combination of parents where my father is completely into academics and he's somebody who looks into a lot of knowledge towards academics. And my mother comes
Mhm.
from a complete art background where she's a dancer, and that's how I get into this place where I'm academically completely at a very good place, as well as
Mhm.
the art side of me also is very much enriched.
Yeah,
So I'm
that
parents.
that's a very great combination to have. You have an academic father, you have a
Artist.
dance oriented, yeah, an artist mom. So it's a very interesting background to have. Uh, how did you find yourself, finding your career? Like, what did you want to do when you were younger, before you got into this business? What did you want to become when you grew up?
I think I wanted to become a designer, fashion designer, thoroughly. Because though academically my father wasn't ready for me to take up an fashion designing course, he always said academically enadru madu or do something which
Mhm.
is which is a white collar thing, and then let's see we can go ahead with it. And my mother is like more of dancing and music and most of that.
Mhm.
But still, though academically I was really good with my sketches and things, and rather I would sketch only dresses than my biology and physics and chemistry.
Mhm.
And the artistic side of my mother, that's the colors that I see with her costuming and the artistic side. So
Yeah.
that's how I used to get fascinated about clothing and things like that. But otherwise, I'm
All right.
academic. I'm into computer science. I'm an
Mm-hmm.
interior designer. I'm a pharmacist, but
Okay.
and also a fashion designer. And I do dancing wise, I'm into Kathak and Bharatanatyam, and I'm a trained singer as well. So I have a deadly combo
Wow.
of parents.
That's that's quite a skill set to have. You started with computer science. I was like, okay, you know what, this is like that successful entrepreneur story who goes into engineering or does something that's mainstream and then gets into a completely different field. But then one after the other, you started saying things. I was like, oh, okay, now I see why she's got this much background where she ended up in tailoring business. All right. So you got into the tailoring business because you had a passion for fashion, if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was growing up? I mean, when you did your education and you were going past your phase of I want to be a fashion designer. What intrigued you the most about clothes? Why was it clothes that caught your attention?
Because first thing, what I noticed was, though I come from a very middle class or an upper middle class family, my schooling was into an extremely very high profile schoolings, and I would see people how they would be treated according to their dresses. their outfits. And that was something that we were taught in the school, that you need to be dressed.
Mm.
And otherwise, when I see the artistic side, when I used to come to the dance class with my mom or the other places where I learned, I would see a lot of grace that one holds with the costumes and fabrics. So I felt,
Mm.
you can also look elegant and beautiful and feel that. Where in the academics, you feel extremely dignified and, sophisticated side. So I thought I would want to be all. So that's why I chose it.
Mm. Well, interesting. So I would want to ask you, whether did you actually go through any courses that got you into fashion in particular, or was it just all self-taught or YouTube videos? How did you get about learning this
No, it's
side?
not self-taught. Definitely not, because to achieve the right perfection, YouTube or self-teaching will not help us, and especially creating in more designs, it will definitely
Mm.
not. So basically, I did a fashion designing course for 6 months, which was
Mhm.
only about designing.
Okay.
So designing clothes is nice, but how do you
Mhm.
make the designed clothes? I mean, how do you make the
Got it.
design clothing? That's the
Yeah.
most important and the most powerful thing in this
Mhm.
industry. So I was more curious about that. Then I went on to do
Mhm.
my year's course in it, and still I didn't find the right answer. But I found the
Mhm.
right answers in a small tailoring courses where they would teach in the local stores or in the
Got it.
local schools. They were more authentic.
Mhm.
So I did couple of them to learn what I have now.
All right. So, coming, right before we get into business, I did have one, thing to ask you. Now, there's a lot of people, who from India, it's obviously, because fashion is such a, it's a very vast topic. You can have multiple channels under it itself. There's so many sub levels of what you could explore. So, you have tapped into a completely different part of it where you have a part where you create it as well as you design it, and the same time you are also busy in the architect version of it. So basically you have the design, you go through the making of the fabric also, you know how to size it, shape it, whereas most designers they just want to design clothes. So for people who are getting into fashion industry, or want to get close to it, how important is it for them to learn something like tailoring, which a lot of people would say might not be necessary, but definitely I think is a skill they should have. How important do you think it is?
So, why I say it is really important, at least to know the basics, is for example, you've designed something and it doesn't sit properly according to the local master. How do you
Mhm.
even gauge or hire a local master on his skills? How will you gauge him if you know the
Yeah.
skill? Able to gauge him, isn't it? So
Yeah.
that's where I say that you should at least be knowledgeable about the basic skills at least.
Got it. Yeah, that is absolutely true. I think at this stage of time, I think it's all about upskilling. If you have one skill that's fashion, you need to have things that are surrounded by it to be able to you become a better entrepreneur, if at all. So let's come to your business, and let's find out. I'm actually very interested myself because I've never actually ever encountered or seen a tailoring business per se. I've got people around my area who my mom gets her sari stitched from, or I get my if I have to go for a function, I get the kurta or whatever shirts, blazer stitched from. But I never know the backside. I don't know how it works. So could you please explain to us, how did you start the tailoring business that you've put up today?
So what I have done as a business today is just started with as a pocket money business. So I actually
Okay.
didn't have a team, I didn't have a tailor, I didn't have a master or a place basically. I knew the skill. What
Hmm.
I did was I just figured out the right person who could do what I wanted to. That
Yeah.
means I designed or what I was looking for. I just hired a guy who would
Hmm.
not work for me, rather do the whole product for me,
Hmm.
where I would just give him the cloth and he would do the complete. version of whatever I designed. So I would pay him per piece, and I would
Okay.
market it in sense. So basically, how do you market it? This it comes with togetherness of many things: marketing, knowing the skill, knowing the people, everything. So what I used to do is, I do not get an order right away once I say I'm a fashion designer or I'm running a business. So first thing I did was I tried all my designs on myself.
Hmm.
So that's when people recognized it and said, "Oh wow, that's nice. Where did you get it done?" So that's when I said I did it myself. So that's
Hmm.
how I started. And I used to not have a machine, no place, nothing, but I used to get orders like that. And that's how I started off as marketing.
Hmm.
So one
So
piece started, and then I started getting more. And that's how earnings saved. And then I started with one machine, and today I have a couple of them with couple
mhm.
of others whom I have hired with a place. That's how it actually started.
Well, that is, that is quite something. I think it's again that part of your life where you never know what you are doing, just because you love doing it.
Yeah.
It's like anybody who wants to even take up a sport. You just start playing cricket. You play it for fun. Someday you see that you could start playing in tournaments. You play well, you get picked up, you go and you keep going, and that's when you reach level. So
Yeah.
that is a hobby thing that just turns out to be your profession, which is probably the best thing that can happen to you, because you're never working, you just love what you do. So as of right now, you like you mentioned, you have a couple of machines, you got people working for you. So if somebody has to get a tailoring business off the ground starting, what would be the requirements that they would need to start it off from step one? What would be the requirements?
So basically, if they are well aware of the skill, first thing,
Mhm.
the skill is very, very important. Second of all, if you are able to start off as a master and a tailor, well and good. Otherwise, it's always suggested to hire a person for a master as well as a tailor. He should be two in one. Otherwise,
Got it.
production wise, it wouldn't work much for you as a company or as a business. So
Mhm.
that's those are the two important things that you should know. And definitely, yes, you should have a machine. I would always suggest for people, unlike me, where you can go out and figure out who is the right guy, because to nowadays the competition is so high that you have somebody who cuts the fabric, somebody else who stitches the fabric, where
Mhm.
it shouldn't happen. And most of them say, I don't know this cutting, I don't know where this size comes from. So rather,
Mhm.
both of them is one person, and he does that. So those
Got
three things are very important to start off, and that can happen
it.
at yes, even in a small place, you know,
Right.
even if it's your house, also it's fine.
Got
Yeah.
it. So yeah, so you say that, like you said, you need to be a little bit careful about not having two different people, making sure that you are at the same time, whilst you're cost effective, you also need to be efficient with your designs. So if you were to recommend somebody a machine, let's say that is standard procedure, like for tailoring, what range would you say that the investment would be to start buying, like, to get a machine? What range do you think they should be spending money to get a machinery or to hire somebody? How much initial investment would be required?
So the initial investments of the machine, I would suggest to go for 12 to 15,000, where you
Mhm.
get a commercial machine. Commercial machine in sense which gives you a high speed machine. There are completely garment section commercial machines which are like Zuki and Jack. I would not suggest them for the start. Rather, you can use Singer or Usha, where you have high production machine which comes with a motor or something like that. So that machine should be good enough to start off, and it will also give you a good production rate if your tailor is capable enough.
Got it. So, you personally, of course, started by yourself, right? And how long would you tell that it took you to learn these skills? Like, how long would it take for somebody to, become a proper tailor, become a proper master, and learn to weave around the fabric? How long would one essentially take average time to learn all of these skills before they get into this?
Very passionate enough, I think 6 months should be fine for you to master the skill. because it's more like a geometric and mathematics which is involved here. So once
Mm-hmm.
you know the basic structure, you start creating patterns on that structure. So you just need to get the basic right.
Mm.
The rest you just construct over it. So it
Got
just
it.
takes 6 months to master it. Yeah,
Mm.
to get a complete study over what kind of fabric would sit on which kind of cutting or stitches. Those things probably a year or year and a half on the business
Mm.
basis.
Mm. All right.
So
So yeah, you were saying.
yeah, that's how it goes. Like on the business front, it's a year or year and a half.
Mm.
To master skill, it's 6 months.
Got it. So, are there any, you of course are providing a course on freedom for the same, which will help a lot of people, get into this business. If fashion particularly is not working out, they can set up a self fashion where they make their own clothing and also give their own designs. So, and like you said, this is more of a math based thing where if you know numbers and shapes, you're going to have a great, setup. But if it comes to the business, pure business side of it, let's keeping the passion side, keeping aside, how much do you think a person who is starting off this business can earn per month? Till what range can it go up to? And what do the profits look like in a business like this?
So basically, if the person is not very good with the skills and he's just hired people, the right kind of people, at least the basics, you should be knowing, at least you should be able to gauge till where your tailor or master can manage. Even if
Mm.
it's the blouse and kurtis and, men's or women's, at least on the time frame. Basically, they work on a day, 9 hours a day. So there are a
Yeah.
lot of workers who are paid per day, and a lot of workers who are paid per hour, and a lot of workers who are paid per piece. So
Mm.
that's how it actually works in this industry. So if we are giving it per day, so if we are say for a person we are going to give him 1,000 rupees as a salary per day,
Mm-hmm.
so he's supposed to give a production of almost thrice or 4 times what we pay him.
Mm.
So that is like, for example, I would say if a person stitches a kurti, which is
Mm-hmm.
plain, and we charge a kurti, say around 500 rupees, the person should be at least able to stitch at least 5 kurtis, which are at least designed. If it's a plain
Got
kurti,
it.
8 kurtis. So 5
Got it.
into 8, so it's almost 4,000, and you pay him his part, your electricity, your other whatever miscellaneous things are there, and you take home half of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Got it.
how you're supposed to work on it. That's, I'm just talking about the basics that are, not a designer company. Even a normal regular tailor also charges you around 500 rupees for a simple kurti. So
Mm.
that makes a lot of profit.
Got
But
it.
you know,
So, yeah. Would you say that should a person who's starting into this industry, should they stick to a certain niche, like you just mentioned, like, kurtis or blouse, when it comes to women's wear, or should they be able to, be expansive in terms of what they provide? What should they focus on first? Should they go for everything and anything at first, or focus on just one niche?
no, I think they should focus on one niche, because you always will be able to satisfy a customer with a basic thing. He or she
Hmm.
will not expect something very fancy and beautiful at the start, because nobody wants to give you something like a wedding thing into your hands,
Yeah.
right? They would say, let me just first try this, then I'll give you the rest. So always your basic, like your blouse or your kurti, should be on dot.
Got
Then
it.
things automatically fall in place. That's how it should be.
All right. Now, to start this, obviously, you need a lot of, your customers are going to be, mostly people who get it stitched, who want it a lower price, not people who, have the time to go get it stitched, unless it's for a special occasion, of course. So, how did you, in your experience, in the past, how did you pick up contacts to get these orders, and how does somebody, find customers for this? Because you can't just that often go onto the road and find people, like like you're selling pani puri. It's not as simple as that. So how do you find your customer base in this industry?
Firstly, you have to start off with your first inner circle. That's like your friends and family. It's just
Mm.
word of mouth. Then you start marketing it, marketing in places where you're working or your college. I don't say that go to your college and say I have opened a boutique. No, it's not like that. You just need
Mm.
to also replicate certain things on yourself which you have done, and you need to
Got it.
that confident enough on your skill and your
Mm.
design. That's more important. And yes, of course, social media nowadays is pretty helpful, which was not there for us before.
Yeah.
So that's how. And second thing, whoever is your first client, always ensure that you make it right for them. And even if you
Mm.
go wrong, second most important thing is you should be ready to redo it and give them that service that they're expecting. Your
Yeah.
punctuality is extremely important because it will bring them back to you.
Got it.
Making new clients is easy, but bringing your old client back onto the table is something
Mm.
which you have to look forward for, and that is going to bring
Got it.
you what much more people in.
Absolutely, I do agree with that as well. I think I've seen near my house as well. There's this one tailor who constantly gets the same aunties around my area. They're getting saris tailored by him, getting new pieces done by him. And every time I ask them, they say that he's got a special hand that just he just knows how to do it properly. I think that special touch is required only when you start building a relationship with your customers. So, would you say it? What would be an easier start for people into this? Would you say it's women's wear or would you say it's men's wear? What should they? What would be an easier way to start tailoring and getting your business done? What is an easier way?
So easier way, I would not say anything is easy, but I would always say start off with the women because it's one of the toughest. And with men's, what happens is it's just a kurti or a shirt and a blazer that they wear. Unlike where women wear shirt, kurti, blazer, everything, and some more
Yeah,
extras. They're more fancy and they're more. They expect more of design and enriched look and all of that. So there
of
is
course.
more space and room for you to do much more.
Mhm.
Where I can just, on a comparison basis, I would like to keep it like this. So on the local basis, let's say we are going to stitch a good pair of clothes for a man, where a pant and shirt and a blazer. It would cost basically at least around 8,000
Mhm.
on the. But if you say a woman, her blouse will cost 4,000. Just
Yeah,
one. And your
yeah,
price range, your market range is completely high. Your commercials
yeah.
are very. Your revenue is
Absolutely.
completely on the business version. And the amount of energy time that is spent on making the outfit for a man is much more.
Mhm.
Where for a woman, it's not that much, I would say, but then it is even easier as well because it's something which is more easy and available to get it
Got
done
it.
like that.
Got it. Right. So I wanted to ask, you personally, because you've gone from tailoring yourself to coming to a point where you've had a lot of, now you have a lot of people working for you. So if what is your, cost, like, of making, let's say if I was to order a kurta, which I would say, go wild, do it by yourself. I just want you to surprise me. What would be your landed cost of creating one, and what is, like, the margin after you've paid all your bills? How much is the profit margin one can expect?
I think double of
Double at
whatever.
least.
Definitely. Sorry.
Oh, no
Sorry.
problem.
Yes. So definitely it's double.
Hmm.
Yes. First thing, the fabric is very easily available. You have the other most important thing is when you create your own designs, you should be knowing about fabrics.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
should know where to fetch the right fabrics with
Hmm.
proper price range.
Yeah.
So for example, there are a lot of places here in Bangalore. I would rather say, like most of the people you would have heard, they would want to buy fabrics in city market. That's the
Hmm.
actual where most of the fabrics is said.
Yeah.
There are places where you get much more cheaper as well, and also quality wise much more higher. So you need to
Mm.
start recognizing that places because
Got
as
it.
designer, that's one of the most important things she or he should be doing that. And once you start with some vendor or find a vendor like that on a regular basis, it is more easy and he gives you on a better price. So whatever
Yeah.
I buy here, say in and around Commercial Street or Janagar, which a fabric will cost me around 100 rupees, I can fetch it there for around 30 rupees.
Got it.
So I can make a profit margin there as well if I would look forward for on the commercial basis, as well as then my stitching, my designing, my payments, all of them, and easily you can make it double if your goodwill is pretty high. It's 1:10.
Mm. Wow, that is quite a margin, of course. And plus, like you mentioned, like women's clothing, as fancy as it comes, it does generate a lot of revenue. So it is a good formula, of course. You buy a machine for about 12, 15, maybe 20,000 max, and you're able to hire somebody at a nominal rate if you have a good person. Unless you know how to tailor it yourself, and you get orders where you can make clothes that you design, and you can make clothes that people like, and of course you get around to it. Making double is quite a business. So you've been in this business for quite some time. How
Mhm.
long would somebody take to reach where you are right now, where you've got an establishment with yourself, you're heading everything, you've got a great business under you? How long does a person need to come to where you would say that you are?
I think probably for me it took quite a long time. I would say it was not easy because I ensured I made use of my opportunities around myself. Firstly, I would like to say like I started off with basics like blouse and kurtis. Then I
Hmm.
started designer. The
Hmm.
place studying was pretty a good place. So I had friends who would marketed them.
Hmm.
And they would not buy it from me, get it done from me, they would still market it.
Got
Then,
it.
my dance class was a plus because apart from kurtis and blouses and leggings, I started uh, high-end costumes for very established dancers. That was another. Then I went photo shoots, things like that. But I had a dream to get in front of the camera.
Got it.
So after that, I went on to do for a lot of models, movies, and ads. But before all these things, I also ensured made research on how this business works. So before
Hmm.
I started on a complete fledged basis, though I was doing part time, I went
Hmm.
to a company where it ran around, say, with around 150 government workers, where we used to just do for e-commerce site.
Got
That
it.
can be Myntra, Flipkart, Amazon, every one of them. And I learned the techniques of marketing. How how do they fetch? And the same
Hmm.
costume or the same garment you see in Amazon, Myntra, and other e-commerce site, but the price variation is a lot. So how do they
Yeah.
make? So that's when I went on to do a research on that, and I figured out like how they fetch fabrics, where do you need to
Hmm.
find, what do you need to do after, apart from, I mean, I would like to also say or put an addition on this, apart from just doing your boutique or your designer store, you can also do your own label without any hazels. How?
Yeah.
I would like to put it like this. So, if you have a boutique, you always have somebody coming back to you and saying, "Oh, this is not right. That is not right. Please alter this for me." But on a label basis, that's a commercial garmenting. So, like, how do
Yeah.
you see? Huh? So you don't have any alterations. You don't see
Yeah.
work in much. It is easy to go. You just
Hmm.
have sizes. You just need to cut and stitch according to them. Put your label, market it, and see it off. So
Got
that's
it.
one of the best things. Also, you can choose and do it without. But that requires a lot of market sense and things like that. So
Hmm.
that can after you do a boutique for 5 6 years,
Hmm.
you get that knowledge or the hold on the industry, how it works. So you have
Got
couple
it.
that you can explore in this.
Got it. So, as let's say you are reaching a certain point, you're starting a business and you want to, grow as much as you can. For an average, for a business that's, booming and, doing well, they find good customers, they're getting returnees. How much can, a business of that's, let's say a medium stature generate revenue per year? Like, what would be the range that they could be playing within?
Uh, Revenue can be, as I said, any amount of range that can be. For example,
Mhm.
it start off with a basic garment where you send a you sell a handkerchief or something as such, and you have a designer handkerchief where you can sell a cotton fabric for 10 rupees, and the same a little bit of design and things like that can be sold for 20, 30, 40, 50 rupees. It
Mhm.
depends completely on your marketing skills as well.
Got it. Got it. Well, it has been absolutely lovely talking to you, Yogita. I myself have got a lot of insight, and maybe in the future, if I am myself looking at, getting into tailoring, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I do love fashion a little bit, although I'm not wearing something fashionable right now. I think I will take your course, and I will also understand maybe a little, because it does seem very, lucrative to get double your money for what you're investing. But yeah, before we do, finish this live, is there anything that you would like to say to our audience?
I would always suggest something like this. So if you're really interested, want to make a passive income or a mainstream income, this is one of the best industries you can try for yourself. So I think one should definitely give a chance for yourself, because everybody has that artistic side of them. They just need to
Yeah.
figure out that need not just be, stitching blouses or kurtis or anything like that. It can also be your
Mhm.
embroidery, designing, making tassels. There are a lot of things that you can explore for yourself. I think one should just try it and see, because everything
Absolutely. And
very nice and beautiful and elegant.
absolutely, and for everybody watching, who we've still got people with us here. If you want to learn about how to start your tailoring business, Yogita does have a course on the Freedom app, so you guys can go check it out right now. And of course, with our new prices, our course is going to be a lot more affordable, and you guys can make a lot of money. If you are, of course, on the right path, and you do everything that she teaches in the course and everything that she's told now. And with that, Yogita, I hope you have a great evening and you continue to grow, and people around you also continue to grow. And hopefully, we will see you soon again.
Yeah. See you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.